Great. So, welcome, Kimberly. Everybody, it's Mari-Lyn from Hard at Work and the Kindness Conference. And I have Kimberly on the call with me because she's going to be speaking. And we thought we'd have a little conversation about what she's going to talk about. And we're just going to go with the flow here. So, go ahead. Kimberly, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're up to these days?
I'd love to do that. Thanks, Merlin. First
Yeah.
of all, I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to be here and talking with you, and then also supporting. I love your mission and your purpose about just introducing kindness at work.
Mhm.
Kindness seems to be your word. Connection is mine.
Yeah.
I would say Connections Change Everything is a book that I published and was released February, ironically last year, right before the pandemic, when my premise is really we all need human connection, right? We thrive on human connection, not digital interaction, which is what we're having to exist in from a cultural perspective. So looking forward to the upcoming Kindness Conference. And as a leadership development coach and consultant, and I also have my own little Zoom podcast, if you will, called The Power of Connection in Biz, where I interview individuals who are passionate about, your word again is kindness. Mine's more about like connection, whether it's connection from leadership to employees or between employees from a teamwork perspective, or between, organizations and their customers and their clients, but just, taking that deeper dive through the computer screen and really building on a human relationship, human connection, and creating a trusting relationship that's so hard to do from a digital perspective. So those are kind of the things that I'm really pursuing. I am also going to be working on my second book, and the book's more or less going to be a workbook. So as I'm coaching my leaders, I coach them on being more connected, being more conscious, being more caring, being more collaborative, being more like a coach themselves, and then now introducing kindness as well. The whole workbook will be a very simple kind of story. Here's your workbook. Here's the steps you're going to take. Kind of as I coach them on a weekly basis, it's lessons that they can write down, practice, refer to. So that's kind of what my next playbook, if you will, that I'm working on over the next month or so. So that's kind of what I've been up to.
Yeah. And we have something common. We're both bakers.
We're both what?
Bakers.
Yes. Oh gosh, that's right. In fact, that reminds me, some people have done some wonderful favors for me, so I owe them a coconut layer cake. It's so good.
Okay.
So good. What's your treat making?
That's cool. That's cool. Because you can use your baking as gifts of kindness or gifts of connection, or however you want to word it.
No, I mean, it's both. So it's a gift of kindness when I'm giving it to them to reciprocate and show my gratefulness. But it's also a source of connection, because if you sit down and share that experience, I call it the power of breaking bread, right? If you go back in history about how things were already always accomplished over breaking bread together, sharing a meal or drinking wine, or, that's always the way converse, sales or communication or solving problems to an extent, and tribes against tribes or whatever it was, over the power of breaking bread. And I do hope that most families during this pandemic are at least enjoying the luxury that they haven't had of having family meals together, or cooking and preparing them together, versus, taking the kids to soccer, mom's working late, dad's got a meeting, Now everybody is working from home. Essentially, they have that community and that power of connection over food. So
yeah. Cool. So tell us a little bit what you'd like to talk about or discuss or have a conversation with people at the conference.
So I'm going to talk about a new culture, a new culture, kindness at work.
Okay.
And so I'm going to kind of get into a story of a study of cultures, and I'm going to look at, for most of us in science, in biology, we've always been compared to the chimpanzee, right?
Okay.
Yeah. I think we're 98.7% similar in DNA to the chimpanzee.
Yeah.
However, there's a wonderful book, if you've not read it, it's by Natalie Angelier. It's called Women in Intimate Geography. And it's a thick book, but it's so fascinating because it talks about all the wonderful things about women and why we are the way we are, including our sexual organs and just how we operate from an emotional perspective and a love perspective. But anyway, she talks about the bonobo. Are you familiar with the bonobo?
No.
So the bonobo is like the chimpanzee, 98.7% similar in DNA to us. Probably they're even actually a little bit more like us. And because the scientists were all male, they chose to be more aligned with the chimpanzee because the chimpanzee traits are more male. They're very dominant oriented, hierarchical, competitive, singular, versus the bonobo, they work as women do. It's majority of women in the tribe. They're about kindness. They're about nurturing. They don't, when somebody new comes into the tribe, they welcome them and nurture them in, versus in the chimpanzee tribes, they assume they're competitive. They will battle them out to see who wins at the top, even eat them, so it's a very cutthroat world. And I'm going to talk about how the workplace needs to evolve to more the bonobo. And what I talk about is it's getting into the role of divine feminine, not necessarily feminism, but the divine of femininity using emotional empathy, collaboration, coaching, conscious leadership, kindness, all those things. So I'm going to talk about the evolution, then I'm going to get into, as a leadership development coach, I focus on the conscious leadership, the coach as leader, the caring leader, the kindness leader, and the collaborating leader. And I'll hit some of those points, and then what you can do within the culture of your organization to, some of the kind of steps you can do, whether it be volunteering, or, I even thought about, we have Secret Santas during Christmas time. Can we not have a kindness care person? Or I was trying to think of a great lingo word, like, so once a month you get a act of kindness from somebody you don't know within your organization. And at the end of the year, they're revealed to you. So that might be, especially when we're all working from home, we all could use a little boost, maybe a candle that comes in the mail, or somebody sends you flowers, or your, favorite CD or book you've been wanting to read, or whatever it is. Right. And I think that'd be kind of fascinating. So that's kind of the way I was thinking about running it. What are your thoughts?
That's great. There was, as you were talking, there is a gal I do know. Her name was Secret Agent, and her role, what she used to just do is go out and do acts of kindness at work and with other people in the community and stuff. And she got to be so well known that she says, I became so overwhelmed that actually she had to shut down everything, because everybody wanted her to do something for somebody. And she just said, I couldn't do everything. And then plus, I still have to work. Got all the stuff going on. So her name was revealed, but I quite don't remember, but she just went under the tag of Secret Agent. So
I like that. A secret kindness agent. I might see. Let's develop a secret kindness agent.
And that was kind of what she did, and it was really cool. We've had many conversations and things like that, and we would write back and forth. And actually, she got, when I was doing the Kindness Hero Award, she was nominated, and that's how I got to know about her. So anyway, so it's pretty cool. You get to meet some, as when you're doing our podcast, you get to meet some pretty cool people to find out what they're doing, and you can refer them back and forth about, hey, you'd be interested in this project, or, can you help me do this? Kind of thing. So I think that's
I've enjoyed, it kind of came as a fluke, this whole Power of Connection and Biz show, but I really enjoy it because I'm featuring other individuals, and you learn stuff in the process, right? One time I interviewed a Navy SEAL, and that was really interesting because what he does, he incorporates in organizations some of the exercises that they did as Navy SEALs in order to build trust, right? So it just is fascinating just how people take their unique gifts from their past and introduce it in different ways in the corporate environment. So I'm curious, just if you don't mind me asking, how did you become so passionate about kindness and this whole movement? What was a stimulator for you that you decided you wanted to kind of?
Well, I was burnt out. I was just burnt out. I had a job that just ended. I didn't know what I was going to do next. Um, I didn't know where to go. I didn't know how to fix it. Um, so a friend of mine suggested that I just surrender, and I went, surrender? And she says, yeah, like, don't do anything for 30 days. Just surrender. Just sit, meditate, walk, surrender. So that's what I did for 30 days. I just walked the house, went out for a walk, came back in, didn't do anything. No business, no nothing. Just surrendered for 30 days.
Hmm.
And then near the end of 30 days, because she said she did it by herself. And she said, if you need any support, just call me. I must have called her 10 times a day. I don't know if I can keep doing this. I really don't think I can keep doing this. And she said, Mari-Lyn, you're doing really good. I'll talk to you later. Bye. So I did that for 30 days. And toward the end, I said, okay, God, I've been surrendering and I still don't know what's going on and what's happening. What is it that you want me to do? Like, how can I serve? Because I've always been, the type of person asking, like, how do I serve? So it came out kindness, and I'm like, kindness? What the hell is that? And uh, and then I said, okay, never mind. I said anything, I would do anything. And then the other thing came out was a kindness conference, and I'm like, what the hell? What? Like, I had no idea what that was, right? So I said, never mind, never mind. I did say I would do anything, just get me out of here, whatever. And, I had many moments of divine presence in that 30 days.
Oh, I bet you did.
And my friend would say that's kind of what opened her life a little bit more and changed for her. So even though I would call her, I swear, 10 times a day to say, hey, I don't think I can keep doing this. She said, oh, you can do it. You'll be fine, and talk to you later, and hang up. And then, maybe half an hour later, and I wasn't watching TV. I wasn't
Right.
it was just solitude, for 30 days. So anyway, so that's kind of how I got into it. And then the kindness conference, and I said, okay, God, I'll do that, but I need to find somewhere to move to so I can, earn a living. So I moved to back in with my mom in a different province, and stayed with her for probably 30 days. And I said, Mom, I said, I have so many job offers, but don't have a car. Can you help me get a used car? And she said, no. And I went, okay, well, then I have to leave you. And she didn't want me to leave her, but
Right.
I just couldn't stay there, So I was along on my journey, and then I got kind of a reminder, tap, tap, tap. You said, I went, okay, let's get started. What do you want me to do? And how do I do it? So I made up this little sheet of paper with, kindness conference, what it means, what and who we're targeting, and the dates, and I started making calls, and, and I did those events live, like they
Okay.
were not like right now we're doing virtual, right? But so yeah, and I was volunteering with this group of ladies who were formed random acts of kindness group, but it was really a result from a random acts of violence at their school.
Oh, wow.
So I was volunteering with them, learning what they were doing. And then I said, I really want to do in the workplace. And they said, oh, we really need that, Mari-Lyn. So off I went, and I had my piece of paper, and they referred me to this guy who made kindness diaries. And I do have one for the workplace. So anyway, he created these kindness diaries because he was watching Oprah one day, and she was saying, wouldn't it be cool? So I just went to him and I said, hey, we're doing this conference. Maybe you'd like to sell your diaries, at the conference. And he looked at my piece of paper and he said, oh, I got to be a part of this. And I'm like, a part of what? Like, it's just a piece of paper. And he's, well, I'm a printer. And I'm like, oh, okay. And he would just say, Mari-Lyn, wherever you want, let the girls know and just run with it. He kept giving more and more stuff. I said, I don't need all that stuff. I just need a flyer and a few things, and that's it. So anyway, he was my major sponsor for 2 years.
Wonderful.
So that's kind of how I got into the
The
kindness
story
thing.
and how it began. I love it. And it's been
Yeah.
going on for how long now?
I started my own business in year 2001. So I did the kindness conference for 2 years. And then after that, I'm just like coaching, talking, speaking to leaders about, implementing kindness in their business. I found that tech companies already understood it, but nonprofits really needed that extra edge because they couldn't pay the money like a corporate company. And a corporate company and say, well, what's kindness got to do with business? And I'm going, duh, really?
Everything. Everything.
Yeah, everything. But back then I was just pioneering an idea way before its time. And even now, I mean, like, okay, people like it, but how are they embracing it? We're still at that stage, right?
Yeah, but I think, kind of what we talked about when I talked about, we're moving to the age of divine feminine. And I think that's kind of started in 2020.
Right.
That the kindness is part of that, because that's more of a, I don't want to, be sexist, but it's more of a feminine energy, right? So going along with being a coach and collaboration and nurturing, and hence why we've got so much more focus on EQ and the work I do versus IQ, right? And by the last couple of years, it's been the surge of addressing the EQ. Now more than ever in a virtual environment, EQ has to be there. Otherwise, you won't be able to function as a leader. You're just going to be incompetent. So,
right. Yeah. I like what you said about EG too. And also, because you were saying earlier, it's, even though we're in this pandemic and we have to deal with each other across the screen, but it's still a great time. Like you were saying, families can come together and share more EQ or love in their relationships and be more connected. And that's what your book is about, bringing the connection together.
Exactly. And I kind of chuckle because this time has brought transparency. So you can't hide from what wasn't working. As a leader, if you were an adequate leader, you checked in, you had your pipeline calls every week, and, net revenue calls, project implementation calls, did the checkbox, right?
Yeah.
Fine. And if you were a really good leader, you were really taking a pulse of your people and knew them pretty intimately. But then when we went to remote environments, if you were that average leader or just barely there, oh, you've lost it. The gap. I mean, I work a lot with Gallup. The gap has widened between being a good leader and being a poor leader. And the poor leader is off the cliff, right? And the good leader always had the EQ skill and is accelerating that. So, but if you talk about relationships in general, if the husband and wife weren't getting along, God forbid one of them was having an affair, well, that's come to Jesus, because you can't be having an affair during COVID because you're not allowed to go anywhere, right? And so now you're stuck at home and you need to face, do I want to go through quarantine again with this person? And therefore I'm going to work on the relationship, or do I not want to go through quarantine again with this person? I'm out of here, right? So, and so I think that's healthy though, because we all are having to face what's working and what's not working. And hopefully we're coming together to work on it through communication, spending time together, and being able to slow down because we're not running around crazy to try to improve those relationships. And I'm hoping that people are taking that time and making a really strong foundation in family and in partnership and relationships, so that when we're over this, they have there was something good that came out of it for the health of the family and the relationships, right? And they're springing from a different platform, right? So that's my hope.
Yeah, because relationships is everything, just as well. And how are you doing those relationships with everybody? If they are everything, you have to have empathy, compassion, kindness, joy, love. You have to have all those virtues, if you will, to connect and really care about the other person, even if you just met them. And when you're doing face to face like this video, then you can also have the opportunity to really connect with that person, because you can see their eyes, you can see them smiling, or you can see them nodding, or like kind of whatever. So you get to know them on a personal level at that point too, right?
Right. And then adding to that too, you get to see where they live in their space, and you see the dog running across, or the cat running across, or the kid jumping on mom or dad. It's like all of a sudden you've got a view into their personal space Whereas before COVID, even if you had a Zoom call, you're still in your suit, you're in your office, right?
Right.
In your office building. And
Right.
so it's still a very sterile,
Yeah.
non-emotional environment. Here you're getting to see, a window into the people you're talking to by seeing their personal space.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I enjoyed our conversation, Kimberly. So is there any final words you want to say before we end the call?
Just join me. I think it's January 28th. It's a Thursday. I'm on at 9:00 to talk about the new culture evolution of kindness at work. So
Okay.
I'd love to have you guys there. Mari-Lyn, again, thank you for the opportunity. Always a joy to talk to you.
Yeah.
Big, so I love that.
Likewise. Okay, you're so welcome. And thank you for joining us today. And we'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye.